Welcome back. A tough week, but here we go. Another episode. The Harlequins podcast, 2 woods and 4 quarters. My name's Michael. As always, Will. What a weekend, mate. How you feeling?
Just the way you said Will there is exactly how I'm feeling. A little bit flat, a little bit deflated. So close away at the Bears, top of the table. What a test for us. But then also the result we got away at Sarries in the women's match at the weekend, just missing out on the victory at the end as Sarries took 3 points to clinch a draw. So not quite the fairy tale double win that we wanted over top of the tables, but wow, what an effort from our teams, hey?
Yeah, it would have been a class weekend had those results both got over the line. But yeah, plenty to dive into. Start with a little bit of news this week. Couple of re-signings. I think the major one is the news that our captain, Stefan Luis, has signed what was put out on social media as a new long-term deal. What were your thoughts?
Yeah. I think he'd have been crazy to not sign that because the boys he's got around him that are going to be at the club for a very long time are going to take the club places and they're going to win us some trophies. And we talk about planning for the future. I think we can scrap that narrative because I think we're ready now. We're going toe-to-toe with the best. We're ultimately just falling short. But I think you learn from these things. And actually now we've done it twice against Exeter and Bristol. I think come cup final time, if we make it to playoffs, I think we would have learned from these things. So I think if you're Steph Louise, you're not going anywhere because this club's on the up. So good to have him, of course, sign a long-term deal with us. He is the future in terms of leading these boys. He's obviously very well respected. He's not someone that gets too much coverage or attention, quietly goes about his business. And Lewis Liner even said on the pod a couple of weeks ago how respected he is and people listen to him when he speaks. So a bit of a Robbo type character, I think, without all of the years of being a Quinn.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think when you talk about there that he's, we're sort of almost ready now. I'm not 100% sure we are ready now, but I know that in other sports they talk about. I know they talk about it in Aussie rules. They talk about it in the NFL. You're in that window, like your window of opportunity to go and win something. I think we're pretty close to it.
I think that's it, mate.
Yeah,
I'll tell you why as well, because if we lose Brownlee next season, I don't think we look anywhere near as good in that back line. I think we look inexperienced, and if you're going to win titles, you need that experience. So
I've not accepted
I see this season as like our golden opportunity with the players we've got, our older, more experienced players playing the best they've ever played, our young guns firing shots. I know we haven't perhaps got the experience of a trophy winning team, and they haven't won anything yet, but I do think this is our shot. And I also look at the rest of the Premiership table, and who else do I see in the Premiership that could win it aside from Bristol and Exeter? I don't see anyone else aside from them. It's us. And if we do get another opportunity at Exeter or Bristol, which I think we'll get a shot at one of them, I fancy us to learn from our mistakes. Yeah. I do fancy us to learn from our mistakes. And of course, there'll be greater strength than they have been, and they're winning machines. But you just don't know when it comes to playoff rugby how it's going to go.
I've seen a couple of pundits on Twitter and things like that saying that Quinn's the real deal, and I think that's. Yeah. I mean, how good does it to even feel like we're talking about being a finished article? Of course, we're not, but we're pretty close, I reckon. I'm so flat after the weekend because I built up in my head about we're going to get a big double win. We're going to beat Bristol. We're going to go. The women's going to go beat Sarries. It's going to be class. We're going to have a banging episode on the pod. Things are going to go off for us, but didn't quite materialise the way we worked. But also, with Steph re-signing, that's obviously huge. But we've also re-signed Tom Lauday, which I'm pretty happy about. I think, although he might not be in the starting 15 in our picture at the minute, he's put in some pretty good performances in the last few weeks. He's a squad player. He'll get his opportunity in maybe some of the other cup competitions we have next year. At the minute, obviously with COVID, it's fairly Premiership focused, but it's another piece to our puzzle, and I think that's a good re-signing personally. And then on the topic of re-signings, seen a few whispers and rumours online this week that Quins have maybe looking at Rassie Erasmus as the potential coach, and we had some chat looking at it a while ago. The other chat is that maybe Scott Robinson is in the picture. There's been a lot of stuff floating around, articles that I've read about our current coaching setup and the way it's working, and do we need a coach? It's going so well, and do we not? And I sort of general thoughts. I'll ask you two questions. If you had to go Scott Robinson or Rassie Erasmus, one word answer, who are you picking? And B, where we're at in our development at the minute, do you currently believe that we should 100% still get, whether it's a director of rugby or a head coach, whatever the job role is? Do you think we definitely need one, or are you happy for us to go, actually, maybe we put the trust in the four guys and Billy that are doing a good job for us now?
Okay, so honestly, mate, they're two brilliant questions, and I cannot wait for people to start shouting at me as they're listening to this, because it's up for debate, right?
Yeah.
I'll answer the first one, and I'm sorry I can't do it in one word, but Scott Robertson or Rassie Erasmus. Scott Robertson fits the narrative of Quins. He's obviously coached the Crusaders to numerous Super Rugby victories and obviously titles. Flair encouraged Quins' way. I think he'd come in and I think he'd really mix well with our current coaching group. But I think the lure of Rassie Erasmus, World Cup winner, I just think he's going to be ridiculous. He's going to help us keep players like Andre Esterhazen, who I wouldn't be surprised if he's in lots of demand from French clubs who have got that little bit of extra cash. Maybe. I also think about the talent that we may be losing in Mike Brown.
Oh, no, don't say it. I'm not prepared to accept it.
The beauty of Rassie Erasmus is he's going to attract world-class talent to come and play for an iconic rugby club in Harlequins based in London. How many rugby players are saying no to that?
No,
I don't think there's too many. The only blocker there is money. And I think, of course, in the modern day and age, money is a huge factor. But I think playing for a huge rugby club like Harlequins in London, playing under Rassie Erasmus, I also think Marcus Smith will be invigorated by him. Like to be able to play under someone like him, I think he'll be like, wow, I really did make the right decision staying with this club. So to answer your question.
So go on, which one?
I'd go Rassie Erasmus.
Would you go? I'd go Scott Robertson.
Honestly, I would not have a problem with either.
No, true.
What am I talking about? I would love either of them. But Rassie Erasmus, proven winner. Obviously, Scott Robertson is a proven winner as well. But I don't think we'll win the Premiership this year. And I think our coaching group are fantastic. They've been given the freedom to grow as coaches, which has helped our team grow. I think the difference between a Premiership winning team and our team is that they've got that man at the helm. You look at Rob Baxter, you look at Pat Lam, they're winners. They've created this culture. They've created this identity to their teams. We kind of need that man at the helm, I think, who will let the coaches do their thing, which I think Billy Millard's doing a very, very good job of. But I think where Paul Gustard fell down is that he was an awesome coach. He loved having control and having a strategy and being very clear in his direction, almost too clear in his direction to the point where there was no flexibility. And I think that was the difference between him being a good coach and being maybe a not so great head coach, was that it almost needed a slight character shift in terms of relinquishing a bit of control and allowing your coaches to have that influence in their specific disciplines. And I think you'll get that with Rassie Erasmus, as you can see from the teams he's coached. I think you'll get that from Scott Robertson as well. I would go for Rassie. I just think I don't know if it's me being stereotypical with South Africans, that hard-nosed sort of
maybe
will never say die winning mentality. Like he breeds winners.
Yeah, I think I think it's spot on. I think either of them we go, bloody hell, that's pretty cool. We've got, two incredibly well-respected international coaches, coming to coach our club. I think I've also read a few things this week that people is very, very impressed with the job that Billy Millard has done, but they also want to keep him doing his general role of rugby. He's got to look after the academy. He's in charge of the women's side. He's looking after this and that. He's not our head coach. He's doing an unbelievable job at the minute. We know that, but yeah, it needs. And I think you make it like a real spot on point. The two clubs that are currently above us in terms of not just league position, but probably just their standing in the Premiership are Exeter and Bristol, and they've got that head honcho of Rob Baxter or a Pat Lam. They've got that, and maybe that's the piece that we need to go to the next level. But yeah, exciting conversations to have, and I think it's just I don't really know where to go with it, because I'm excited about the fact that we're talking about it. When you said to me when Guzzy left that time ago, would we have a World Cup winning coach potentially coming to coach us? I'd be like, well, probably not. But no, look at the way we're playing, the mix of talent we've got in the squad, young and old. I think if it's not this season, the missing piece to the puzzle is the head job next year. And we need to get it right, and we need to get someone that's going to invest in the club and get things ticking.
Without a doubt, and the fact that Harlequins have got those two names in the hat as our our front runners is ridiculous.
Yeah,
particularly when you think about where we were when Gustard left. We were thinking, who's going to want to come and coach this club? We were talking about Richard Cockrell and how he wouldn't want to leave Edinburgh. I think he'd snap your hand off now.
Yeah, probably. Well, he's pinching all of our players, isn't he? He's taken Young and taken Lang. He's thinking,
Young and Lang. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. But to have those two names thrown in the hat for Harlequins, I'm unbelievably excited for the future. And I don't want to bang on about the future too much because I think we're very good now. I think we can win things now. And we'll talk about it later in terms of selection for Ulster up in the European Challenge Cup coming up.
Yeah.
And I've got my views on that, which I'll share shortly.
All right, well, we'll move on. Let's talk about the women. We haven't had the old rivalry of Saracens this year in the men's Premiership, and I was really, really looking forward to watching the women's game yesterday. Unfortunately, I left my iPad at school, so I wasn't able to get the double screen set up, but I was following it on Twitter. I had it on my phone. Heartbreak again, and it wasn't quite the loss, but top two. I mean, they're the two standout teams in the Allianz this year by, I think, a margin, and it was gutting. I mean, I had it on my phone the last kick. And Zoe Harrison's, an established international, a very good kick. And I was thinking, God, there's no way she's going to miss this. And of course she didn't, slotted it. And, we take a draw. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I actually played for Tring Rugby Club, which is where Zoe came through the system. Oh, yeah? So, yeah, I'd seen her. I'd seen her in training, and I'd seen her practicing kicking by herself up at the club on numerous occasions. So I wasn't surprised she slotted that one. But yeah, these are the games that are going to grow the women's game for sure. Definitely. I don't think I've been more excited for a men's game than this weekend.
No.
It's as big as it gets. It's a London derby. It's Quins v Sarries. It's first v second.
Yeah.
It's the test run for what's going to be the final.
Yes.
It was great.
Little dress rehearsal.
It was a real dress rehearsal, and it was a back and forth contest. Like, they obviously took the lead and then stretched ahead of us. We clawed back and not regained the lead. We managed to get in front. And with a few minutes to go, 17-14, it's one of those thrillers. It's tense right up until the final minutes. And I guess it's a testament to our women's team that Saracens respected us enough to opt for three and take a draw.
Yeah.
And I think that gives us the upper hand if we were to meet again in the final. I think psychologically, I think that puts us in the ascendancy that we were better than you. We had the upper hand. You were happy to take a draw against us, whereas we wanted to win. I think psychologically that does bits. Of course, they're all meeting up now for the Six Nations. Women's Six Nations starts this weekend, so they've gone toe to toe in battle at the weekend, and now they're reconvening together for what's going to be a really exciting Women's Six Nations, which has actually got a fantasy league for the first time.
Yeah,
and I think me and you should definitely put a Harlequins podcast team together for that. It's got to have Jess Breach on the wing.
She's got to be captain every week. Got to be captain. Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the format. It's a slightly different format to the men's. It's different. They play two games. I think we've got Italy and Scotland, and then there's like a final between whoever won their other two games. I don't know if I've explained that terribly well, but it's not a round robin like it is in the men's.
So fantasy, actually, I've got a little bit of a little pump up myself this year. This is the first ever year that I've ever played fantasy football. I never watch enough football. I'm usually too busy doing other things, but obviously we've been in lockdown for a year. This is the first year I've ever watched enough football to get involved with fantasy with some of my mates that do it. And I'm just currently topped by about 90 points with about, 8-9 games to go. So I'm pumping myself up a little bit on my fantasy. So yeah, I reckon
long way to go.
Long way to go. Yeah, long way to go. We'll put a side together. I'll have to see how many Quins players we can fit in. But no, that's exciting. And then
I reckon we can get quite a few. On that point, we've got 11 Quins players in the England Six Nations squad, which is huge.
Mental, isn't it?
You compare that to any England men's Six Nations squad, there's no team that will have 11 players. I think that just shows the sheer golf in class that our club has got in terms of the women's game, which is amazing to see. But then we've also got representation across Wales and Scotland as well. So I think we'll be able to get quite a few in our team, that's for sure.
Maybe we can get a whole 15 of Quins players so we can get them in. reckon they finish top as well. But no, we'll definitely look forward to that. We'll see if we can get see if we can have a little push on social media and people can offer some gentle criticism for our team. But whoever's in the team, I'm pretty sure we'll have Jess Breach on the wing as captain. So yeah, pretty happy with that. And then obviously, big sigh. We'll move on to the men's game down at Ashton Gate. I mean, I was more gutted about this loss than I was than the Exeter one a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
because we should have won the game.
Yeah.
The teams came out midweek, and I still felt pretty good. Obviously, they had a couple of big names back with Semi Radradra in this team, Ben Earl. Their England internationals were back.
Yeah.
Sink was on the bench, old Sinky boy. We had a bit of chat midweek about some potential battles. We had a little bit of Twitter convo with John Arthur and Joe Marler. Hopefully, there's a ref link somewhere that no one knows about. We can get some footage of them chatting in the scrum. Yeah. But where do you want to start?
I'm going to pick up where you left off there with some of Bristol's returning players. Start with Ben Earl, who I don't think had the best game, especially in front of Warren Gatland. I'm not sure Ben Earl was a Lions contender, but I don't think he had a good game at all. We got stripped from Danny, got stripped from Marcus, and when he gets stripped by the opposition's halfbacks, who are both half the size of you, that's not great for the ego, is it?
Just a little nudge to the ball on top of his head as Danny's walking back as well.
To be fair, I've got a lot of respect for Ben Earl because I think he's a top bloke as well, and he's obviously a good player. He didn't have one of his better games, but he took that tap on the head pretty well.
He
obviously picked up a yellow. So not one of his better games, and then looked to Semi. He obviously had an influence on one of the scores, which I was frustrated by because that was off the back of a scrum where they were set up for about 60 seconds and we knew exactly what was going to happen. They were going to give it to Semi. He was going to run at Marcus, and we just kind of didn't do anything. We were waited for it, knowing it was coming, and he obviously did his thing and put Piers O'Connor under the sticks. And it's like, lads, we know that was coming. Surely we've trained for that in the week.
Probably watched that in the week.
Or is he that good that you can train for it and he'll still get
I think he is. I think he is that good, but also, he might have. Yeah, he's a freak.
He's a freak player, but I don't think he had one of his better games either.
No, a bit of a penalty machine.
I think Andre, we looked at the clash between Andre and Semi, obviously not directly opposite each other in the centres, but I thought Andre carried incredibly well, and obviously he offloaded impeccably to Marchant to stick him under the sticks to get one of our scores. I thought he had a better game. Semi was giving away penalties. I think he gave away 4. I remember Mara Itoje getting absolutely hounded for giving away 4 or 5 penalties for England. So interesting double standards from the rugby community there, not picking up on that because of a moment of magic, but there we go. I didn't think their returning players had a game-changing influence.
No, Sheedy was good.
Of course, on paper they look great. Sheedy, I'm a big fan of Sheedy.
Yeah, I am.
I think he's a real top-class bloke. Summed up by his conversion to win the game for them, and his first reaction was, "We've got away with one there. Let's go and show our respect to our oppo who have given us one hell of a game
by the barest of margins." What about the first try from Dave Atwood? It seemed like we didn't I just heard you just say
There's so many little details to the game, and it's really unfair for me to pick out certain players because you lose a game as a team in the same way you win a game as a team, and there's no one moment that costs you the game because ultimately there's numerous moments, but they all accumulate, and it's annoying because they're all preventable. But I'll start with that first one, and Marcus Smith, so reliable for us, gets his kick ever so slightly wrong, and all of a sudden 3-0 up turns into 7-0 down, and that's a 10-point swing, and that could be the game.
Yeah.
Obviously, hindsight's a wonderful thing, and the most frustrating thing for me there is the thing you get taught at schoolboy level is play to the whistle.
Yeah.
And Scott Baldwin's looking at the ref as Dave Atwood's running in behind him, running through mud, by the way. I see
the handbrake off, didn't he?
Tweet a rocket meme or something, rocket gif. Dave Atwood going through. I was like, I'm not sure what you're watching, lads, but he was running through mud.
Yeah.
We just gave up. I'm a little bit soft for us, and I'm sure the lads will be the first to admit that. And a couple of little errors. If Marcus puts that slightly right, we get 3. If Scott Baldwin stays switched on, he makes that tackle. It's a game of what ifs when you lose, isn't it? But
I'll tell you what did slightly frustrate me as well is that we didn't take any points during the 10 minutes that Ben was off the field. And it's little things like that, isn't it?
It is little things like that, and they're so frustrating.
I know.
But I saw a really good interview with Alex Sanderson saying that they train with 14 players, and obviously scenario training is so important, particularly in the current climate where you are often down to 14 players. I think Quins have been one of the better teams in that aspect, actually, for not losing players. We obviously got a yellow with March at the weekend, but we haven't had many reds at all this season compared to some other teams. But you've got to do that scenario training, and I actually think Ben Earl getting his yellow didn't benefit us as much as it could have done, because knowing what Pat Lamb's like as a head coach, I have no doubt they would have done the same scenario 100%, training.
100%.
And I read on Twitter, and it's a really good question, how many teams do scenario training where you're attacking against 14 players. Because if you lose a player and you're down to 14, I imagine all the training you're going to be doing is defending with 14. Like, how do we stay within the game when we're a player down? But actually, attacking against 14 has got to have a bit of a skill to it, because gaps will appear where they haven't appeared before. And where there were gaps before, they're now plugged with people. So it requires like a change in strategy, which perhaps you figure out 10 minutes too late.
But it's certainly not as simple as just the player's gone off and we've got to score points, is it? It's certainly not as simple as that.
Proven many times.
Yeah. And I'm just, you actually make a good point on the yellow cards. Our discipline, as a general rule, has improved. Obviously, at the start of the year, we had a bit in discipline, probably just as the Gusted era was coming to an end, and it has got better. We certainly haven't had any of the shoulder head collision red cards that you've seen in some of the Six Nations game or other Premiership games. Obviously, the only one I can remember is that we had Andre with that sort of elbow in the Gloucester game, which we lost him for. But I think there were some questionable refereeing decisions, and as a general sports fan, I really dislike questioning officials, because I just don't think it's a very good look for the game. But actually, what I will say is that the consistency for the penalty try that he was given against us and the card you can't argue with. It was just, I can't believe it was Sinclair that had the ball in his hands in the last minute as well. I can't believe it was Sinclair.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many frustrating aspects to it. Like, I didn't see a grounding, but obviously the referee's given the try, but he's paused for about 3 seconds before he's given it. So I don't think he's seen a clear grounding either. There's no angles that show it, but they've gone with the on-field decision. It kills me that it was Sink. It kills me that he was laughing as well.
He walked off with a massive smile on his face. I mean, look, we're not bagging Sink here, because obviously he was such a good player for us for such a long period of time, and we absolutely loved him, and we all know the reasons that he left. We're not bagging him at all, but it did wind me up a little bit when he's walking.
If I'm in the scrum, actually, I was really impressed with him, because in the scrum, Joe Marler was giving him chat.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Sinclair didn't look at him once. No. He was looking down. I mean, if you were watching that and looking at body language, you think Marler's all over him. And in the scrum, I think he was actually.
Yeah. I even had you heard the reference actually say, boys, let's the chat, because I want to get the calls right.
yeah. But he took it on the chin really well. And then I can understand his reaction, getting all excited when he scored, because it was almost like, that's why I wasn't talking. That was my chat just there, putting it down. But the most annoying officiating decision for me, and I totally agree with you, mate, I really hate bashing the officials. I see it in football all the time. It's an awful look for the game. Yeah. And it doesn't change anything. It just makes you look bitter. Yeah. But the decision where Brownie caught the ball off the pitch, and the official gave it as a Bristol line out because he caught it and then put his foot down, which couldn't have been more wrong. No. It turns a Harlequins line out on Bristol's 22. That's a huge attacking line out.
Yeah, it's a 60-meter net gain. 60-meter net gain, isn't it?
It turns it into a 60-meter net gain for them, and they've now got the line out on our 22. That's huge. That's a huge momentum shift. And it's such a rookie decision. It's so basic, and they've got the cameras to check it.
I know.
And we saw the replay, and the TMO didn't even step in. I don't know if it's the kind of decision where they can. I'm sure they can step in on anything, but it just felt like such a significant moment to me.
Yeah. One of those things, isn't it? Like, annoyingly, it is just as simple as it's one of those things. But yeah, mate, that stung. I didn't quite understand the thinking as well behind it, because there's a 60-meter net gain. Brownie's it almost looked like he was moving into touch, but on replay, it was clear. I don't know why there's not. Ref, you have a little look at this one before we change it. It's one of those things, but yeah, it really, really stung. And I know that after the game that the boys would have been hurting. We sit fourth in the table now. We've already beaten Sale this year. Every other team that we play for the rest of the season will be below us. We've already played Bristol and Exeter twice.
Well, we've got Sale again, actually.
We have got Sale again.
And that could determine who plays Bristol, who plays Exeter.
That could be a shootout, wouldn't it?
Could be.
So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, going back to my original point, how disappointed the boys would have been to let that game slide. And then you see, some jovialness and some sort of real life perspective with the Marler and Kerr interview after the game. Have you played Perudo? Is that a thing that you do?
Yeah, mate. Perudo's a class game.
I don't know what it is.
Joe Marler's description was brief, but pretty much summed it up. It's lies, dice.
It lies, dice.
I won't explain it now, but no, it's good fun, especially after a few drinks.
Yeah.
I'll call out a few players as well, and Joe Marler's one of them because he looked like he was suffering in the warm-up. Looked like he had a knock or something. He kept going down. Don't know if it was mind games, but he ended up playing a full 80. How often do you see a front rower playing a full 80 these days?
I actually didn't text you this during the game. I've been racking my brain for the last couple of days about this. Well, since the game. I remember a game at the Stoop where Marler was starting. I generally don't remember seeing him in the warm-up. I don't. Oh, really? I honestly, somebody that might be able to listen to this and let me know whether they saw the same thing. I don't remember seeing him in the warm-up. I don't remember seeing any of the scrum training. I don't remember seeing him go for any of the team stuff through the warm-up on the pitch before. And I think I must have been my dad that day, or maybe I was on the phone to him. I can't remember. But I said, I'm not seeing Marler, and then he came out and started the game, played 65 minutes, and does what he does. So I would never read too much into Joe Marler, moving around wheeling in the warm-up, because he played a full 80 minutes. He was class again
in front of Gatland as well.
Yeah, in front of what Big was. Should we talk Lions briefly?
All right, I'll ask the question then. Who was Warren Gatland there to watch?
Wow. He was there to watch Benno.
Really?
I
disagree. So. I don't think Benno's got a hope. If he was there to watch Benno, he's not going now. I don't think he's going to well. He's probably looking at Sheedy as well. Honestly, Sheedy's probably just behind him in the pecking order at Wales, the bigger. He was probably there to watch Sinclair off the bench. Yeah, I think he was there to watch Sinclair.
And
I think he was there to watch Marler.
I think he'll probably be, I think I'd be surprised if there wasn't a conversation between Warren Gatland and Joe Marler saying, Joe, I want to pick you. Are you then going to drop out for the reasons that we all know about with family stuff? Is that going to be a situation? Who knows? But look, if Joe wants to go, who's not going to pick him? I'd like to think he was there having a look at the likes of Danny Kerr, probably the best game he's played in a Quinn shirt in the last 3 or 4 years. I thought he was unbelievable. Robbing balls, his kick was good, the little sleight of hand for the pass to set up Martin's try to Andre. Tough to think he was there to watch Brownie. I'd like to think maybe he was having a look at the likes of Smith or Dombrand. But again, they're probably just a little bit far off at the minute.
Yeah, I agree. I think Marcus Smith had a bloody good game.
Yeah, he was good.
And we can ask the question again, because I thought he won the 10 battle against Simmons. Did he win the 10 battle against Sheedy? I don't think Sheedy was better than him. I think Sheedy will stand out because he slotted that winning kick, and maybe that's the only difference. And Marcus missing that first kick was quite a significant moment. But aside from that, I didn't think either of them outshadowed each other.
No, it was a fairly even battle, wasn't it?
It was good to see. The other player that you've mentioned there is Danny Kerr. I thought he was outstanding again.
Yeah.
And it's a big but, and I'm going to mention it in the same breath as I did earlier, where there's no one player that's at fault for defeat's team effort.
Yeah.
78th minute, we are 5 points ahead. It's 33-28. It's the 78th minute. We're on the halfway line and we've got the ball. If you're Warren Gatland and you're watching a scrum half that you want to take on tour with you, it's the 78th minute and they're winning, you expect him to see out the game and close out the game in the same way that a footballer would take the ball to the corner flag. Yeah. You expect to see your scrum half arranging pods of forwards to crash it up, taking his time, distributing again, killing that 90-second, 120-second period to see out the game. And he just didn't control it. No. And we concede the penalty. They knock it upfield. We concede another. They're in the corner, and then Sink crashes over. And Danny was awesome again. He was ripping number 8s. He ripped Benno. He controlled the game. He kicked well. His passing is obviously fantastic. But for me, he controlled the game for 78 minutes. The crucial 2 minutes, which was the difference in the end, I don't think warranted a place on the plane. I think I would take him. But I think Warren Gatland's a lot smarter than me and probably has a strategy in place in his mind. And I think the difference between getting a ticket to South Africa and not was probably that 2 minute period at the end where you've got your Niner's got to earn his cash, really.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree.
It's a shame.
It's a real
shame.
Real shame.
It is such a shame because I think he's great and I think he's worthy.
Yeah.
I just wish that 2 minute period was managed differently.
Yeah. Well, look, I think we've covered some pretty good bases there, and I'm completely devastated about it. But like we said, for the women's game, was that a dress rehearsal for the final with us and Saracens? Probably.
Probably. Probably.
Probably, yeah, it will be. Yeah, no, it will be. And then,
so we're finishing third, then, are we? And we're playing
yeah,
Exeter in second.
Regardless, if we want to be where we want to be, we're gonna have to go through Bristol or Exeter again. So hopefully, we'll learn from our mistakes.
Which I don't know if you saw Adam Jones's interview, but the boys are itching to get him again. And
yeah, I bet they are.
I would be too, because you've proven you've proven you can be better on your day.
Yeah.
You've proven that you're worthy of going toe to toe. It's just on a different day the result swings the other way.
Yeah. No, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it either way. Ulster in the Cup, Sunday night. Yeah. Now, we've had some chat about this, and we've had a couple of differing views on selection. And actually, I've had a bit more of a thought about it and the way we sort of look at this European competition. You've had a little look at the way that the tournament format will go and who we might play. We've had a look at the other teams left in the competition. And I think we are both in agreement that Ulster are probably the best side left in it, who we obviously play next. If we then go through there and beat them, I don't think there's anyone there that we'll be afraid of. Home or away, obviously, there'll be a trip away, I assume, at some point, whether it'll be on UK shores or otherwise. What are your thoughts on selection? Is it time for a big rest of some players? Is it time to keep the fire burning? What do you reckon?
First of all, really excited to have European rugby back.
Yeah, definitely.
Sunday night under the lights, Easter Sunday. And it's going to be a mammoth clash because it's Ulster. We want to be playing these teams. It's why we love Europe. And as you say, I think the toughest side left in the competition is either Ulster or probably Montpellier. Montpellier are on the other side of the draw. They've actually got to play Glasgow, who are right up the top of that as well for me.
Benetton's still left in there as well. We might match up with Guzzy later in the year.
Exactly. Benetton's still in there, yeah. Imagine that. I mean, the only way we'd get Benetton's if we reach the final, and I can't see them getting that.
No, fair.
For me, I see Europe as a competition we can win.
Yeah.
I look to the Premiership. I think you've got to beat Bristol and Exeter. You've got to beat both of those sides if you want to win the Premiership. I think we've got that in the locker, but I think that's a far more complex task than to go through the cup that we're in. I think we beat Ulster, and our run into the final is one that I would back us to do. I think we've either got Newcastle or Leicester or Connacht or Ospreys. Yeah, Ospreys. They are the other teams that we could face and I run into the final. I back us against every single one of them. So for me, Ulster on Sunday, that's your full strength team. We've seen the benefit of consistency and picking the same squad. We had that really nice run where we were unbeaten for 5 in a row, I think it was. Unfortunately fell short after a bit of rotation against Newcastle. I would go full strength because the games we've got after that in the Premiership are Worcester and London Irish. You should never underestimate a team in the Premiership. They're all tough games.
Well, look at Exeter and Gloucester on
Gloucester. Yeah, I mean, Exeter were deeply weakened.
Yeah,
and Worcester tend to be a bit of a bogey team for us. They always seem to get one on us. But for me, those next 3 games, your toughest one is Ulster. It's also the one where you can reap the most rewards in terms of silverware. I think
that's a really good point. If we're going to take the next step in our development as a team, we've got to get used to winning trophies.
Oh, 100%,
there's not a Premier Cup this year. There's not a this. There's not a that. Whatever it is. This might be, if it's not the Premiership, when we have to go through the likes of Bristol and Exeter, this is a huge chance to get some silverware. And if you think about when we won it in 2012, winning the Amlin the year before.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
There's some chat. There's some symmetries there. And I think if you're going to be a Premiership winning team and we're going to start competing at the top of our level domestically, getting used to winning trophies is going to be huge. So I
couldn't agree more.
I agree that there'll be some. I agree that we've got to go as full strength as we possibly can. I do think there'll be some changes. Probably some forced by injury. Obviously, Joe's just played a big 80 minutes. I know that it's a Sunday kickoff as well, though, so we'll have an extra day. There'll be a change. Of course, there will be. There'll be some changes, but I'm still looking forward to us putting a real strong side out against Ulster and watching them on a Sunday night.
I agree, and I think that's a really, really good point about you've got to get used to winning trophies. You look at Exeter, the way they've done it. But I actually watched yesterday Ugo Monya's first lockdown commentary he did with Alistair Aiken, looking back at when he won the Amlin Challenge Cup in 2011 and how they went on to win the Premiership the year after. And Bristol won the Challenge Cup last year. And to be honest, I think they're going to go on and win the Premiership this year. So if there's a recipe there, I think we replicate that. I think we've got a chance of doing that. You've got to get used to winning trophies. I said we need to stop talking about the future because the boys are ready to play now. They're ready to win now. I reckon you've got to get a trophy. And our most realistic shot at a trophy is the Challenge Cup. I think we'll do very well, and we'll be in with a chance. And you've got to be in it to win it for the Premiership, and I think we will be in it. I think the competition we face in both competitions is completely different. I think the Challenge Cup running we've got, with the boys we've got, I see that as our best shot at getting silverware. Yep. And looking at the players like Smith, who's re-signed, Don Brandt's going to want to win trophies. If Brown's leaving, he's going to want to leave with a trophy. Yeah. DC's just put pen to paper again. Get these lads a trophy. They'll want it. They'll want to win every game they play.
Of course. I think it's spot on. If we're gonna be contenders domestically, let's start getting our hands on some silverware. And if this is the best chance we're going to get of lifting a trophy at the end of the year, we can't look past it. Let's go and beat Ulster on a Friday night.
Yeah, I guess a separate thought to that. If we want to attract the best head coaches, so if we've got Rassie Erasmus and Scott Robertson, they're looking at Quins. They haven't won anything since, I don't know. The last thing we won was probably the Premiership Rugby Cup, which isn't going to attract them.
Nah.
2012. So, I mean, we reached the Challenge Cup final more recently than that, but win a trophy and all of a sudden Rassie Erasmus is raising an eyebrow thinking, okay, these boys are winners. They've got something about them. So I think
winning is a habit.
Side to it. Yeah, and the recruitment is so important for next year because we've got an unbelievable foundation to our team now. I think we're unfortunately going to lose a few players. It's just the way of sport, let alone rugby.
Yeah,
and I think a big part of your recruitment is the lure of the club. We've got the lure of the club in terms of the team sheet. The coaching staff are great, but they need that man at the helm, and I think one of those two needs to be brought in for that lure.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, look, I think, mate, we've done pretty well there. I'm buzzing now for Ulster. I haven't really thought about it much up until now, but I'm actually really looking forward to getting on the sofa and watching that. And we'll see what happens. And then if any of you are watching on our YouTube feed, you'll be noticing that myself and Will's guns are looking a little bit more supple than mine. We're wearing the Harlequins Amateurs rugby shirt that they've provided us with. Obviously, tomorrow, as we record this on a Sunday, tomorrow is Monday, the 29th of March. I turn 24 actually tomorrow. Will, don't know if you know that. Just a little top one for the boys. I'll have a little day off as well. No work, Easter holidays, which is lovely. But yeah, it's returning to rugby. So the Quins stuff, grassroots rugby is coming back. They did a big piece on BT Sports Rugby Tonight. Rugby is on the way back at the grassroots level. And I play a bit of cricket down at Hampton Wick, where Quins share their club facilities. If some of you are a bit older and enjoy beer, it's a great place for that. They've got a really good sort of coaching setup. 3 teams: a men's first 15, a men's second 15, and a vet side. This year, they're also introducing for the first time a fully fledged women's side, which we're looking forward to seeing as well. Hopefully, there'll be some future stars coming through the ranks there. Plenty of juniors. It's a good club. It's a family club. In 2018-19, they were actually undefeated, which is pretty good. Winning's in the blood. And the women's side will train at the Wick on Wednesday evenings from 7:30 to 9:30. So if you need anything in terms of your getting back to rugby, if you're looking for a new club, if you're thinking about moving club, if you're a junior looking for somewhere, get in touch with us. Go and follow Quins on social media. They'll be very, very willing to help you out. And like I say, from my own experience, I've met a few of the boys down there, and they're not bad on the beer. So if you enjoy that, and that's a reason for you to play, then absolutely go and do it. So yeah, we wish them well with their return to rugby. Good luck to the men's, women's, and of course all the juniors. They're part of the Quins family, and actually, I think me and myself and Will, we've never got to run out for the famous quarters in a professional capacity. So maybe a game for the amateurs will be on the cards. I've not played since school, so I don't think it'll be happening for me anytime soon.
I'm actually so excited to be wearing a shirt with quarters. Like, I've always wanted to wear. As a kid growing up, I've always dreamed of sort of running out on the stoop and playing, and to be actually sat here in like a shirt of quarters again.
Let's kidding you, mate. Let's kidding you,
mate. I feel like it suits me.
Yeah, it does.
Like,
it does
Billy Millard. I know you're the GM. Since I've moved to London, actually, I was very unfortunate with the timing with COVID, but I haven't found a club, and there is a bit of difficulty in terms of finding a team and embedding yourself and creating that big circle again. It's probably something I've missed, actually. So I think Hampton Wick's probably a little bit far out for me, but I'd love to be able to, even if it's a one-off, get over and actually play a competitive game wearing the quarters.
I bumped into, I was going to say,
off my bucket list.
Towards the cricket last year, they were like, I was chatting to them, just saying I'm a Quins fan. They were saying, some of the cricket boys, you better come over and play for us. And I was a bit like, look, I've not played since school. Not sure, really. Not sure.
Mate, me and you should run out. I don't know if they have like a friendly or something, because I'm not sure they'd let us both run riot in a competitive league game. But I would love to. Even if it's a one-off, because it's a bit far for me. I'd love to be able to play.
I've got some rules if I ever do play. I stand at fullback. I catch and run, but I don't do any tackling. I'll stay well clear of that. But no, cheers to the stash from everyone down at Quins Amateurs. Me and Will wish you all the best with your return to rugby, and hopefully we'll get some good news in the next few weeks via social media and see you running out there at some point, hopefully in the not too distant future. And then we've got a little bit more housekeeping, mate. Obviously, the Full House Challenge is still going on. We've still got Phil Twickenham. So as we do our little wrap up, should we just smash out some squats?
Yeah, we're a little bit behind, aren't we? So the next few days, we're going to be racking them up. So let's get 10 out of the way now. You can do the wrap up while we go, mate.
Yeah, well, it wasn't the fairy tale finish we were hoping for this weekend with 2 wins, but, big draw for the women's down at Sarries, and hopefully we can get across the line next week against Ulster. And we go again. Our season rolls on. We're going towards the top 4, and hopefully we'll get some silver at the end of it. But yeah, cheers everyone for listening. Will, I'll catch you soon, mate.